Hey, folks, we've got a big league announcement for you. Coming soon, First Star Logistics and In the Trenches with Dave Lapham will be showing our appreciation for your support as both listeners and viewers with a humongous giveaway. I'm talking massive, worth over $5,000 in cash and prizes. $5,000? You kidding me? Unbelievable. So make sure to subscribe, turn on your post notifications, follow me on Twitter to find out when it launches, and get all the details. Don't be left out of this one. You're in the trenches with Dave Lapham, brought to you by First Star Logistics in our beautiful First Star Logistics studio. And it's time to talk about keys to the game against the Baltimore Ravens. What this boils down to, in my estimation, is recognition, identification, and communication, because both coordinators are very, very talented in the amount of things that they do. I mean, it really is mind-blowing. Let's start with the offensive side of things for the Baltimore Ravens. You got Greg Roman, who basically worked with Colin Kaepernick with the San Francisco 49ers. So he's taken the skill set of Lamar Jackson and expanding on what he did with Colin Kaepernick with the San Francisco 49ers. Kaepernick, of course, had the ability to run the football as well as throw it effectively. Greg Roman has so many different personnel groupings within his formations. He's got multiplicity of formations, multiplicity of personnel groupings within those formations. He's got motion. He's got window dressing. What he's trying to do is make you not trust your eyes. That's the bottom line. And he does so many things in the running game alone out of those formations. He'll run the option. He'll line up almost in a wishbone look, and he'll run the option with Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson, if you can't stop the dive with their 311-pound fullback Ricard, you're in trouble. If you stop the dive, then Lamar Jackson will pull it and run, or he'll pitch it to one of the other running backs. I mean, he's got the true option. They have the power running game. They can pull a tight end and Ricard at fullback and run the counter. I mean, they can run traps. They can down block, angle block. They can do almost anything in the running game. It's unbelievable how the multiplicity of the Baltimore Ravens running game is amazing. And they made a commitment. I mean, as an organization, they made a commitment when they drafted Lamar Jackson late in the first round, the year that he came out of Louisville, right at the end of the first round. They said, we're going to build an offense around this guy's skill set. And now they've also improved what they're doing with their passing game in terms of formation and having him throw in the pocket. He can beat you in the pocket. He can beat you out of the pocket. Then, of course, where he's unbelievably dynamic is you have to defend Lamar Jackson twice. You defend the play that was called. And if you do a good job defending that, now you have to defend Lamar Jackson's creativity, because he's going to improvise and he's going to try to create and extend. And the play that he creates and extends a lot of times much better than the play that was called. So defensively, you have a lot of things to concern yourself with. So you have to have two sets of rules, really. I think one set of rules to stop the offense and then another set of rules to stop Lamar Jackson. And the thing is, a great coach, the best I ever had, Paul Brown once said, what you have to do in a situation like this is simplify. Have a few rules that you can apply to many different scenarios. And that's the best way to approach it. But there's a balancing act there, because if you simplify too much, you're limiting yourself to what the offense has to worry about or what the defense has to worry about. You're taking yourself out of it. So you can't oversimplify, but you have to simplify. You can't have too much to worry about, because they present so much that the odds of making a mistake increase tenfold. So they present a lot of problems, not just mentally. With the mental problems, that's one facet of it. And then they line up and they get right in your face and they hit you right in the mouth. So when you're trying to figure things out, they're coming right at you and they're being physical with you. It's just an unbelievable situation, I think, that they put you in. The same thing when you look at Don Wink Martindale's defensive posture. Same type of thing. The last 3 years, he's averaged 44% of the time he's blitzing in some way, shape, or form. That led the National Football League 3 years in a row. This year, he's like 41%, which is like fourth in the NFL. So he's still doing a lot of it. And he runs every blitz known to man. I mean, he's got He's got safeties, corners, slot corners. He's got everybody blitzing, linebackers. It's amazing what he does in terms of the volume of things you have to prepare for. So it's the same type of thing offensively. The offensive line, they have to basically recognize, identify, and communicate what's going on in terms of pressure packages. That's what killed the Bengals when Joe Burrow was in Baltimore last year. He got sacked 7 times and hit 15 times. Too many free runners. Did not do a good job of recognizing, identifying, and communicating. And it really hurt the Bengals' offensive approach and turned the ball over early and had major problems. So that's going to be a big thing. Bottom line is, when you go to play against the Baltimore Ravens, you have to play with confidence and conviction. What Baltimore wants to do, offensively and defensively, with all the things that they put out there, is make you hesitant. And a hesitant football player is not a confident football player. You can't be in a situation where, oh, am I supposed to hit this gap or am I supposed to hit this one? Then you don't hit either one of them, and then you're in trouble. You have to have conviction with your assignment, confidence in that you're doing it the right way, and things will work out. You can't be half-baked about your decision-making process, and you can't be caught in the middle. You can't be hedging. You have to go full bore because they're playing fast, and you have to play fast against them. There are no two ways about it. All right, so that's the overall philosophy, I think, that the Baltimore Ravens, they try to create. Plus, when you're playing them in Baltimore, you add the crowd noise in to the process, to the equation. It's brutal, particularly for the offense. Not so much for the defense because they're quiet when their offense is out in the football field. When their defense is out there against the opposing offense, you can't hear yourself think in that stadium. So the identification, recognition, communication becomes even that much more dicey. I mean, it's a real challenge. The other factor is Chris Horton and his special teams. I think one of the big reasons that the Baltimore Ravens are 5-1 right now is the excellence of their special teams play. They have the greatest kicker in my mind to ever kick in the National Football League. That's Tucker. He's phenomenal. Kicked a 66-yarder to beat the Detroit Lions. They've got one of the punters, best punters to ever punt in the National Football League. That's Sam Cook. He's outstanding. He's extraordinary. And here's their special teams rankings. They're number 1 in the National Football League returning punts, averaging 16.6 per. They're number 2 in the National Football League covering kickoffs, minimizing the opposition to 17.5 yards of return. And they're 3rd in the National Football League returning kickoffs, 25.9 yards per return. They're in the top 3, 1st, 2nd, and 3rd in 3 of the 4 major categories of special teams. So they are dictating field position. They're making you go on a long field. They're giving themselves some short fields. Bottom line, too, in this football game, special teams that dictate field position is going to be big. The other one is turnovers. In the Cincinnati-Baltimore matchup, the turnovers are always big in every football game. But in this particular matchup, the team that wins the turnover battle since John Harbaugh has been coaching the Baltimore Ravens against the Cincinnati Bengals, 34-5. 34-5. The Bengals are 14-3 when they win the turnover battle. They're 2-20 when they don't, and they're 7-4 when it's even Steven. So if the turnover margin is equal, or if the Bengals win the turnover battle, they're 21-7. If they lose the turnover battle, they're 2-20. It's very simple. It comes down to taking possessions away from Lamar Jackson, giving more possessions to Joe Burrow. That's going to be a big factor in this football game as well. Some other keys, zero coverage. Baltimore is going to run the zero coverage that Joe Burrow beat against the Jacksonville Jaguars. The Jaguars defensive coordinator came from Baltimore. I'll tell you, Don Wink Martindale, if you start approach that red zone, that 20-yard line, he's going to run zero, no safeties deep. He's going to have them all at the line of scrimmage coming after you. You have to have an answer for that. Zero coverage is going to be big. Red zone. The Bengals are converted a touchdown 10 out of 12 times in the red zone. 83.3%, 3rd best in the NFL. They're one of 3 teams that have 100% scoring rate. They've kicked 2 field goals and scored 10 touchdowns. Just 3 teams in the NFL have scored points on every red zone possession. The Bengals are one of them. Baltimore's defense, 50% of the time they allow a touchdown. That's tied for 7th in the NFL. 6 times, no points allowed. That's tied for 2nd best in the National Football League. 6 times opponents have gotten in the red zone and come away with squadouche. Nothing. That's big. Baltimore's offense, they've converted 71.4% of the time for touchdowns, 5th best in the NFL. Just one time, they haven't scored any points. That's tied for 5th best in the NFL. The Bengals defense, 52.6% of the time. They've only allowed a touchdown, 10th in the NFL. 4 times they've held the opposition without a score. No points, tied for 5th best. Everything is top 10 in all the red zone categories. Red zone, scoring zone is going to be big in this football game. 3rd down, already talked about Don Wink Martindale with his exotic pressure packages. Telling you what, when he comes with those pressure packages, you're going to have to match up with their blitzes, and then the one-on-one skill players have to win. Skill players have to win their one-on-one matchups. When he blitzes, he's going to leave somebody out there one-on-one. They're 6th best in the NFL in 3rd down defense. We talked about special teams. The other thing in this football game, if Lou Anarumo decides to spy Lamar Jackson, and he's done that some. He's done it with Logan Wilson. I can see him spying with Logan Wilson. I can see him, spying out there a little bit with a safety like a Von Bell. I could see that. I could see that spy working out. I could see Akeem Davis-Gaither, another linebacker that has really good speed that might be a spy. Watch out for Akeem Davis-Gaither, number 59. I predict he's going to play more snaps in this football game than he has because he's a linebacker that can run. He might be the fastest linebacker in the football team. You have to have foot speed against Lamar Jackson and these Baltimore Ravens. So if you spy Lamar Jackson, you better get him on the ground because you're taking somebody out of the back end of coverage and saying, we're going to get Lamar Jackson on the ground before he can hurt us. If that guy can't get him on the ground, you're deficient a person on the back end in coverage that you were maybe going to have, and now he can take advantage of that. So there's a lot of things to worry about, a lot of things to think about, a lot of keys to this football game when you're playing the Baltimore Ravens in Baltimore. But the biggest thing is play with conviction, play with confidence, and see how it pans out.
Hi, Dave Lapham here. Have you heard about In the Trenches with Dave Lapham presented by First Star Logistics? Catch new episodes from the world of sports and broadcasting. Search for In the Trenches with Dave Lapham on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts.